right, fire it up. Let's do your thing here, bud. Nobody's any better at this than you are.
That's fine. Take a deep breath.
Give them hell at the end. Good luck to you.
Fighting like hell like we do every week. You are the best here. Brett, be affirmative. You told me to get on.
Info. Ready. Ready. Go slow. Green, green, green. Lock it down, lock it down.
I'm destroyed, and I just got drove through like 6 times on the 14th. What the f*** is he thinking? That is the stupidest thing I've seen in my career. Literally.
Everything you described is accurate. Haven't even finished the second stage yet. Half the field's wrecked.
Hell yeah!
11 got it. Rowdy there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day. Great work, my man. Great work.
Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
10-4. Great job, guys.
And welcome to Racing in the Draft. My name is Mark. We have made it, finally. The final race of the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series race. What's up, Lost Prophet? Welcome. Hopefully you had a good Martinsville race last weekend. I ended up slightly up, but up is up, so I will take it. I've had 3 or 4 good weeks in a row here to end the season, and I'm hopefully gonna help me and you out in getting possibly the bag this weekend for championship weekend in Phoenix. So far, we've seen a truck race that was ugly, and that's probably the nicest I could put the truck race. That was just ugly. I like the winner. Ben Rhodes, I think, is a class act and been doing really well. But the rest of that race was just an absolute chaotic mess. But tonight's race with Xfinity was a pleasant surprise, with Cole Custer taking home the championship and the race win. Congratulations to Cole Custer. And let's see, Lost Prophet. I didn't do that great, but made it up in the NFL. Hey, as long as you ended up having a good weekend, that's great. I have tried my best to figure out NFL, and just the problem is I just don't watch enough of it. I'm a big Washington fan, so I watch that, and I keep track of the rest of the NFL, and I think I could probably do fairly well at betting. But as far as DFS and NFL, I'd have to go find somebody like me who's got a lot more data. Actually, Family Man, who typically joins us up until about the NFL start of the season, he does typically pretty well, and sounds like Lost Prophet may be doing pretty well. Cole Custer's such a twerp. Cole Custer, I mean, he is an interesting driver or person. Not sure what to make of him as a personality. He's kind of flat. But as far as a driver, at least in the Xfinity series, guy's unreally good. He's in it every week towards the end. I wish he had more of a personality. Custer kind of reminds me almost of a Sheldon Creed a little bit. Sheldon Creed's kind of an interesting bird also. But both of them know how to drive a car, that's for sure, to say the least. But congrats on Cole Custer. Congrats to Ben Rhodes on both of their championships. Who will take home the crown for the Cup Series? I tell you what, it could easily be any of the 4. I really am having a hard time kind of putting my finger on who I think might do the best. I have a couple of ideas who I like. Of course, I like Kyle Larson. I'm a Kyle Larson fan. So that's who I want to see win it. And he definitely is kind of Vegas's favorite, so maybe he's got a shot. But how about Ryan Blaney last weekend at Martinsville taking home the checkered and taking home the grandfather clock for the first time. So congrats to him on making it into the finals, and Willie B for hanging on the end, almost passing out in the car. Lost Prophet says, I'm thinking Blaney takes it, but I'd like to see Larson. Yeah, I mean, I could easily see William Byron taking the checkered also. And I could also see somebody like Christopher Bell kind of coming through in a clutch. I mean, this could really be any of the four. It would not surprise me if any of the four win. I mean, Christopher Bell would probably be the biggest surprise. And then probably Blaney. No. Blaney was so good there last year. Bell was kind of the outside shot. So the other three, I having a hard time kind of figuring out which way I want to go with the three of them. But either way, let's look at the optimal lineup from Martinsville just real quick, and then we'll dive into Phoenix. But Ryan Blaney leading 145 laps out of the 500. Denny Hamlin leading 156. I mean, pretty much led most of the first stage and half of the second stage, and then he kind of faded off there. And yeah, it would have been interesting to have Denny Hamlin instead of Christopher Bell, I think. I think Denny Hamlin would have made even the championship even more interesting. Just because of his personality. I mean, you can... It's an either hate or love relationship with Denny Hamlin, that is for sure. And I think a lot of the haters actually like Denny Hamlin. I love to dislike Denny Hamlin. Andrew, I got lucky with 47th place in the Xfinity Mini Max and tied for second. Nice, good job. So that should have been a profit. 47th in the Mini Max. How high did I get in the Mini Max? I was playing in the Mini Max. Let me see real quick. Pull up my Draftkings real quick. Mini Max, my best finish was 9th. I ended up taking 9th. But I had 80 lineups running in the Mini Max, which gave me a profit of $15. So, not bad. I did finish 5th in... Tonight, I finished 5th in the happy hour. That took home 100, so that helped me out a lot. But either way, yeah, that last restart. I mean, how cool is it that the Xfinity race literally has got 4 championship drivers and literally going through? I can't remember if it was turn 1 or turn 2 or maybe towards the last lap. 4 wide, and all 4 drivers were 4 wide. I thought that was really cool, and then they ended up racing, for the most part, pretty cleanly. John Hunter kind of got the bad end of the stick tonight, but let's finish up Martinsville from last week. Eric Almirola, who always races really good at short tracks, I kind of called that one out, so that one was, I kind of figured was going to be pretty good. Chase Elliott, I mean, he led 83 laps, which helped him stay in the optimal lineup, even though he lost 3 spots on place differential, so that worked out. Harrison Burton, local boy just down the road, kind of his local track, did well, finishing in 15th. And Austin Cindric was kind of the surprise, coming up and finishing in 9th. Good on Austin Cindric. We haven't seen him really in the optimal lineup. I mean, I guess he's been there 5 times. Wow, that's actually kind of surprising. But either way, I ended up making a little bit of money last weekend. Hopefully you did too. The optimal lineup challenge has already been decided, and it's been decided for a while. Willie B still with a three spot up on Ricky Stenhouse, Chris Buescher, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. So that's kind of been wrapped up for a while, but I still keep the standings going to kind of have it as a reference point. So, all right, let's get to Phoenix Raceway out in the desert for championship weekend. This is a short-ish style track. It's not long enough to be an intermediate track, and it's not really short. It's kind of its own little beast. It kind of fits into Richmond. Richmond's a short track, but this is a mile long. 1.022 mile long to be exact, 11 degrees in the turns 1 and 2, and 9 degrees and 3 and 4. The race length for tomorrow's race is 312 laps. Dominator points will be 218.4. Dominator will be something to be kind of concerned about, and especially because it's a championship race. Typically, it's going to be one of the 4 that are typically going to run and be Dominators. Which one of those 4? I mean, right now, Byron has the best chance of probably being a Dominator at least early. So as far as Draftkings goes, and I really honestly think we're going to see something very similar to the Xfinity race. I think we're going to see all 4 of the championship drivers finishing probably in the top 6, if not finishing 1 through 4. I don't know if we see a late restart or caution late in this race. It just hasn't set up at all. I mean, even at Martinsville, I mean, would we run 150 laps towards the end there? Green flag at Martinsville. That's old school Martinsville, actually, though. I remember going back there and watching, the last 100, 150, 200 laps at Martinsville go green. It happens. And now you'd have a lot of beating and banging, but because the track's so small, you kind of slide out, you get up under the wall, and you just kind of keep going. And NASCAR would just kind of let them fight it out. You'd beat and you bang, but it would never typically be something that would bring out a caution. And kind of the same thing here. Now, I think because TV, drama, they kind of want all that to happen. If we do have a slight issue, I think they're going to be probably pretty quick to pull the trigger and get them all lined up and tight again. So I still think the Dominators you really need at least one, and it's going to be. It's really honest going to be. It's going to be one of the 4 championship guys. That's just the way this plays out for championship weekend. You're going to have at least 2 of the championship drivers in your lineup. If you can fit a third, then that's really the way to go. And picking which 2 or 3 to have is going to be really the key to having a successful weekend. We're not going to see. You might see one. You might see like a Christopher Bell have an issue, or even a Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson has had a tendency all season long of being kind of either a checkers or wreckers type of year. Blaney's been kind of hit or miss, but I think right now he's on a heater, so I don't foresee Ryan Blaney having that much of an issue. And Willie B's just been super consistent all year, except for kind of last week. They kind of missed a little bit, but I think because I think they had this circled. So Christopher Bell's had 2 weeks to get ready for this. Kyle Larson's had 3. Kyle Larson probably has the advantage because he won at Vegas. But I'm telling you, it's gonna be tight this entire race, and I think that more than likely that we're gonna see something similar to the Xfinity race that we saw tonight, if you happen to catch it. But either way, I'll break this down one last time for this year. I'll break this box down in full. Kyle Larson, 11,500 pricing on Draftkings. That is your top line here. He is starting in the 4th position. And then they did do practice, and it was an extended long practice, so we got lots of laps and lots of times. Kyle Larson was 11th fastest in single lap speed. And then he was 10th in a consecutive 10-lap run. Now, a lot of guys did 20, 25, 30. Not a lot. Almost half the field did like 25 laps of run. But we had 33 drivers out of 36 make at least a 10-lap consecutive run. So that's probably the best indication kind of who fell off really quick and who kind of, I wouldn't really say it's long run speed, but definitely had a little bit more of an extended speed. All right, the next line down here at the very bottom, on the bottom left, we start with the last 5 races that we've had at Phoenix. And this does include 2 championship finals. The fall of the fall race of 21 and the fall race of last year of 22 is included in that. And the championship race does play slightly different than the spring race. But it's still Phoenix. They're still racing. There's still, even guys that are not in the Final Four are still going to want to get a win. They want to finish out the season strong. We've got lots of guys who are retiring, semi-retiring, don't have rides for next year, and those types of things that are going to want to finish strong and either try to secure a spot for next year or finish their careers out strong. Kevin Harvick. Big shout out to Kevin Harvick for, I don't know, 30 years of incredible racing and watching him race, something along those lines. I mean, he's been 20 plus years in the Cup Series. So super excited for him to go and spend some time with his family and kind of run his business and retire, but he will definitely be missed at the track. So, but down at the bottom down here, let's talk about Kyle Larson in this box. He's got one win in the last 5 races, which was the fall of the 2021 race where he won his championship. He's got 2 top 5s, 4 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 53.9 Draftkings average, and an 11th place average finish. He did finish 4th here. This is the spring race from earlier this year. I always go back to the last race that they ran here. I don't go back to last year's championship race. But Kyle Larson did have a pretty good race then also. And then we have the full track history. Kyle Larson has run here 18 total times in his Cup career with 1 win, 6 top 5s, 10 top 10s, and 14 top 20s with an 11.8 average finish. Then over here to the top left side, I have his ranking, which is second. I have him ranked second for Draftkings. This is not necessarily where I rank him for winning or not winning. But I think he has the second best chance of having one of the top DraftKings scores. With that being said, I have him in 30 to 35% of my lineups. I run a total of 40 different lineups. And I run typically tournaments, and I run typically the 20 max or 80 max. And sometimes, typically I take my 40, put those in, and then I run a bunch of random other 40s that I really don't kind of include in this. They're much more wild card type scenarios. But my baseline is kind of what I put into here. So 30-35% is what I'm running of Kyle Larson tomorrow. And I will put a little asterisk that after I do this video, and if there's somebody that happens to go to the rear, and we do have somebody who potentially is going to the rear tomorrow and may not even make it back. We'll get to him in a second. But Kyle Larson, I've got 30 to 35% ownership in Kyle Larson for tomorrow. Ryan Blaney, 11,300. Was super fast in practice. He was third for single lap and second in 10 lap consecutive average at 63 total laps of practice. Had a really good practice and then got his worst qualifying effort, as NASCAR or as NBC said, his worst qualifying ever at Phoenix. Super surprising. Starting 15th, but I think Ryan Blaney's going to be okay because if we drop down to the bottom line here, the last 5 races here at Phoenix, he does not have a win, but 4 top 5s, 5 top 10s. He's finished in the top 10 every race in the last 5 races here. A 69.1 DraftKings average, a 4.4 average finish. If we look at he finished second here in the spring. He finished second here last fall. And probably, honestly, had a faster car than Joey Logano, but because Joey's his teammate, he let Joey go and take the win and the championship. I think that was probably team orders from Ryder Penske, but we'll never know that for sure. Ryan Blaney's got 15 total starts here with an 8.5 average finish. I mean, these are the type of numbers that we looked at last week with Ryan Blaney, and Ryan Blaney had the best average finish over the last 5 races at Martinsville. He had one of the best average finishes for his career at Martinsville. So there are a lot of things that are pointing to Ryan Blaney probably might be the person to look at. Kyle Larson, another one, really good. He finishes strong. If he is there at the end, he's going to be somebody to be reckoned with. Between the two of them, those two are my absolute favorites for this race, and I think William Byron getting the pole, getting the number one pit stall. Well, I think Willie B's next, so we'll talk about him in a second. I do have Ryan Blaney first because he does have 15 potential spots, a place differential. And if he gets up there early, I have a feeling he could lead quite a few laps. I have 35 to 40% ownership in Ryan Blaney. Next in line, William Byron. Pole sitter, Willie B. He was 7th in single lap practice, 3rd in 10 lap consecutive average, so really fast in practice, and went out and qualified really well also. He does have the win here from the spring race earlier this year, where he and Kyle Larson actually led the most laps. William Byron ended up getting the win on a late caution. Kevin Harvick was also really, really fast in the spring. And pretty much Kevin Harvick's best track is Phoenix. So if you're going to end your career somewhere, this is probably the spot to do it. But Willie B, here's a little bit of a difference. I mean, the last 5 races, Willie B does beat Kyle Larson. Ooh, big old loud train coming through. And I live kind of far from the tracks. Willie B has a 10th place average finish, but only a 42.1 Draftkings average. He did win the race earlier this spring, like I said, and he's pretty close in averages over the course of his career here with 11 starts with an 11.1 average finish. I mean, you could throw a blanket over these guys on kind of their average finishes, what they've done here lately. I mean, it's any one of these guys' races. Now, here's the oddball of the group, Christopher Bell, 10,800. He was super fast in practice. He was 4th in single lap, top of the charts in 10 lap consecutive average. So super fast in practice. Kind of slipped a little in qualifying and going to start 13th. So, maybe good for us for DraftKings if you put him in your lineup. I have 25 to 30% ownership with Christopher Bell. But in the last 5 races at Phoenix, actually in all races at Phoenix, he does not have a top 5. He does have 4 top 10s and 4 top 20s. He finished 6th here in the spring, and he's got a 12th place average finish. So, his average finish is not far from William Byron's or Kyle Larson's. Ryan Blaney, on the other hand, but that 4.4 is really impressive. Denny Hamlin, next in line here at 10,500, starting 6th. He was 18th in practice, so he definitely improved in qualifying from his practice. Probably bumped up those air pressures. 18th in single lap, 20th in 10 lap consecutive average. In the last 5 races here at Phoenix, he's got 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 4 top 20s, a 10th place average finish. Right there with the rest of these guys. If Denny Hamlin was in the final group, the final 4, I'm telling you, he would be something to reckon with too. 39.9 DraftKings average. He finished 23rd here in the spring, so kind of the worst of these 5 here. And I still have a fair amount of ownership in Denny Hamlin, 25 to 30% ownership in Denny Hamlin. I think he's going to be potentially somebody that could win this race. And Kyle Larson or Ryan Blaney will finish 2nd and win the championship. So you kind of have what we had in the Truck Series, where you've got somebody who wins the race but doesn't win the championship, and whoever finished the top finisher of the 4 gets the championship. So kind of makes it a little interesting. I know NASCAR has kind of said they like to have the winner be the champion so that they kind of do whatever. James, what's up, buddy? Thanks for all your NASCAR videos each week. Been a fun season. Very excited for tomorrow's finale. I'm telling you, tomorrow's finale is going to be really, really cool. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm a little sad to see it go, but after 36 weeks with really only 1 week off, I am a little bit ready for a break. I love doing these videos, but there's a lot of work that goes into it. But I do enjoy spending an hour or so with you guys on Saturday nights before the race and kind of breaking things down. So I'll be back next year. Don't worry. As long as God's willing, I'll be back to do it again next year. So we've only got 100 days, and half of that's going to be Christmas and New Year's and Thanksgiving, and then all of a sudden we kind of get into the doldrums of winter, and then all of a sudden we're back, and it's NASCAR time and time to go to Daytona. So it won't be long before we're back again. But I've got 25 to 30% ownership in Denny Hamlin. All right, next in line here, Martin Truex Jr. God, we'll talk about just a complete implosion on a playoff. Might be one of the worst. Just I don't even know how to explain what happened to Martin Truex Jr. And I mean, we'll talk about somebody that would be a shocker. Martin Truex Jr. just goes out and wins it all tomorrow and leads 300 laps or 312 or something stupid like that. I mean, I don't really see that happening. Martin Truex Jr. was 13th in practice. So, I mean, pretty good. He goes out and qualifies outside pole. I don't think Willie B is going to let him even sniff first place. And then I think Brian Blaney and the rest of them are just going to move around him. I've got 20 to 25% ownership Martin Truex Jr., and I'm going to be honest, I think that probably comes down a little bit once I finally kind of go back and look when I look back at all my lineups. Right now, I don't know if I like having that much ownership of Martin Truex Jr. I'm willing to take the chance that he doesn't go out and stink the show up. I just don't. Number one, they haven't been performing well, and number two, I just think he's just going to take a back seat and he's going to run mid-pack at best. James says, understandable. Well, you do a great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you tuning in every week and hitting that like button and all that type of stuff. And anybody else that's new out there, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. It helps out the old YouTube algorithms or whatever. Even though I don't really do this for becoming a big stream. If it happens, that's cool, but I'm not looking for that to be the case. So if I were to do that, I would do a much more of a NASCAR news type of channel, kind of like Eric Estep and Out of the Groove. He does a really, really good job. And I keep thinking I might do something like that because I do enjoy and I spend a lot of time listening, watching, reading about most of the NASCAR stuff that's going on. I've thought about doing that, but I mean, I do have kid, wife, life, job, those types of things. So this takes up a lot of my time, and I think I'll stay in my lane and do my NASCAR Draftkings. But either way, Martin Truex Jr., I just don't like where Martin Truex Jr. is starting. I don't like the way they've been running in the playoffs. I mean, he does have a win here in the last 5 races, but he's got a 14th place average finish. He finished here 17th. And I mean, yeah, sure, he's going to probably want to finish the season strong, but he's going to have a really, really dominant car. I don't like the starting spot, and I think my ownership will come down from 20-25%. It probably will end up in the 10 to 15% range. I'll have him in a few lineups just in case he does go out and stink the show up tomorrow. So, Joey Logano, our previous champion, who won here last year and finished 11th here in the spring. 9,800. He was 6th in single lap, but kind of fell off on the little bit longer run. It fell all the way down to 27th, so a little slower on the longer run. Does have the one win here from the fall of last year. He's got a 6.6 average finish, which is really, really good. And a 64.3 DraftKings average. Now, he did lead like 200 some odd laps last year for this same race. So that's a lot of DraftKings points to be added up. 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s, 5 top 20s in the last 5 races. I mean, he's really consistent. 10.8 average finish over 29 total starts. I mean, he's solid, and he's starting 17th. So there's some place differential here. He also could end up being a player with Ryan Blaney. He could return the favor if the opportunity exists. And I went back and watched the race from last year, and Ryan Blaney absolutely played blocker for Joey Logano. They were both also the 2 fastest cars on the track. But Ryan Blaney was probably faster than Joey Logano, and Ryan Blaney just kind of sat there in case there was a late caution or an issue. Ryan Blaney could help his teammate Joey Logano out. If Joey Logano gets into the same spot, but if Joey Logano finishes second, that's a pretty good place differential. And a 9,800, that's not bad. So I could easily see shifting some ownership. In fact, I know I could see shifting ownership from Martin Truex Jr. to Joey Logano. Andrew says at that price, would rather have one of the top four. Yeah, I mean, with Martin Truex Jr., I definitely would have one of those. But now that kind of, and that's why I like doing these videos, is now that I'm sitting here kind of talking about it, I think I would have would be more interested in having a Joey Logano than I would a Martin Truex Jr. So, I mean, it is $400, and $400 once you get kind of down to the bottom of the barrel does make a pretty big difference, because there it gets really slim on pickings down there. And it's really tough for anybody starting in the 30s to even sniff the top 15 in DraftKings points. I'll kind of put my chart up here in a second. I'm gonna do something for next year that really kind of shows this chart a little bit better. I'll just go and pull this up now, because it does get a little bit difficult to see. So these are the last 5 races here. Let's see. Can I zoom in a little bit? Does this help? So here's the fall race from last year. So we look at what I'm really concerned in looking at is top 15 in DraftKings points. I'm not concerned about pricing. It's much more, where are the points coming from? And as you see, you have Eric Jones, who started in 30th, but other than that, you had a 25th place Ross Chastain, who finished 3rd. Kyle Busch 22nd to 7th. Place differential's not, I mean, there is some place differential, but I mean, Kevin Harvick 7th to 5th, 8th to 6th with Willie B, Chase Briscoe 3rd to 4th. So I mean, you had 3 Fords that finished in the top 4, and Ross Chastain kind of coming up there. So with that being said, and this is all of the races in the last 5 at Phoenix. So as you can see, first and second, first. So pole sitter has been in the top 15 in points, if not the top point getter, at least for the last 4 races, and he wasn't that far off in the spring of 2021. So that kind of gives you an indication of what the pole sitter does, and that first pit stall gets you. So then if we look at points and where their starting spots. So we had 3 guys starting in the top 5, 2 guys starting in the top 6 to 10, and then from 11th to 12th we had 6, and then 4 from 21 to 30. I mean, so here, starting 31st or worst, out of the last 5 races, we have a total of 3 drivers that made it in the top 15 in points. Now, it gets a little better when we look between 21 and 30, but really the bulk of the DraftKings points are coming from 11th through 20th. I'm not saying that that's going to be what happens this year. This is just kind of a trend that I like, that I've started looking at, that's really kind of helped me out with cashing much, much better in these tournaments. And we're not seeing as much from 6 to 10, but if you were to bump these together, starting in the top 10, you've got almost as many as that are starting, almost as many from 11th to 20th. So your bulk of your stuff is coming from 11th to 20th. So we kind of come over here and look at the average. 3.2 starting in the top 5, 2.8 from 6 to 10, 4.8 from 11th to 20th, and this is starting spots, and then 3.6 for there. So I'm going to put this in a little bit more pretty format, I guess. You know, kind of fits on here better, and it's a little easier to see. So I'm going to have that for next year. I never get Logano, right? Yeah, I mean, out of all the drivers out there, I just have a personal grudge with Joey Logano. Kind of like with talking about love-hate. There are a lot more people who hate Joey Logano, but the people who love him really do love him, and I don't know, understand why. he is he's another one that's interesting. We were talking earlier about Cole Custer being an interesting bird and Sheldon Creed being an interesting bird. Joey Logano kind of fits right there with them. Um, but Kevin Harvick, 9,500. I'm gonna miss Kevin Harvick. He hasn't been quite as vocal lately as he was a couple years ago, especially last year. Um, but thanks for the memories, Kevin. It's going to be fun to watch you race in the last race. I honestly would love to see Kevin Harvick go walk off with a win tomorrow. I think it would be great. And I mean, he's starting third. And if we look at his total track history here, 41 races here at Phoenix, 9 wins. Almost 25% of the races that he has started at Phoenix, he's won. 36 top 20s. He's only been outside the top 20 5 times. That's unreal. I mean, they should just rename the track Phoenix Harvick Raceway. Yeah, I mean, now Harvick was not always a good guy. Harvick was one of the first ones. He was right there with Tony Stewart of either instigating a fight or being in a fight. But he definitely kind of calmed down later in his years. He is starting third. I mean, if we look at his average finish, he's got the second best average finish at 6.0 over the last 5 races at Phoenix. If we look at his total 41 race history, he's got an 8.3 average finish. He finished 5th here in the spring, and I think he finished top 5 here in the fall race of last year. Let's see, where did Kevin Harvick finish? 5th. Started 7th. I mean, it's hard not to take him. But he's not fighting for the championship. But he's fighting for that last win. So I could see moving some ownership out of Martin Truex Jr. and if there's room, moving it to Kevin Harvick. It's just so hard because Kevin Harvick has just not been the Kevin Harvick of old this year. And Stewart Haas has just not been great in the Cup Series. They just won the Xfinity Championship. But yeah, I don't know what to do with Kevin Harvick. I think I'm going to leave him kind of under-owned. I think he might get into the top 15 in points. So I could see this going from 5 to 10 to 10 to 15. I could see Joey going from 15 to 20 to 25 to 20 25, and Martin Truex Jr. kind of dropping down in the 5 to 10 or 10 to 15, probably 5 to 10%. So I could see moving a lot more ownership to Joey Logano and a little bit of that ownership going into Kevin Harvick. So, but thanks for the memories, Kevin. I would love to see him go out on top tomorrow and kind of win this thing and sail off into the sunset. Next in line here, Tyler Reddick, 9,200. And this is why Phoenix is not really a short track, because Tyler Reddick is not good at short tracks. I said it last week, and Tyler Reddick had a lousy race last week too. And he's just really not good at short tracks. He's decent here at Phoenix, though. Well, I wouldn't even say he's decent. He's 15.4 average finish. He did finish 3rd here in the spring race. So maybe with the Toyotas, and oh yeah, by the way, love the paint scheme for Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace this week. The Star Wars theme, they did a really, really good job. And I do have to give 2311 credit for having some of the best paint schemes all year long. They really, when they've done it right. So hats off to 2311 for their paint schemes this year. They kind of win. I think last year Trackhouse was kind of my favorite paint schemes. In fact, I run in iRacing. I run a lot of Trackhouse paint schemes. Reddick is a short guy. Yes, Reddick is short. He's just not good at short tracks. He's much better at mile or mile and a half tracks. But yes, most NASCAR drivers are short. I mean, have we ever seen Mark Martin, who was my absolute favorite driver of all time? He's like 5'6", but could literally bench like 300 some odd pounds. But yes, Tyler Reddick is kind of short, just not good at short tracks. 15.4 average finish here at Phoenix. Starting 10th. Cool paint scheme, but I don't think I'm going to have a whole lot of ownership in him. I'm probably on the lower end at 10%. So I don't like the play. I don't hate the play. I just don't love the play. So I'm going to run him a little bit. Just not going to have him a whole lot. Because I don't think he's going to have the force. If anybody gets the reference. Next in line here, Brad Keselowski. Congratulations, Brad Keselowski. You now are the proud father of a bouncing baby boy that you literally had to fly back from Phoenix less than 24 hours after flying out to Phoenix to go be with your wife. Props on you for being there. And now you're saying you're going to come back and race? I would be very, very cautious with the Brad Keselowski play for tomorrow. In all honesty, there is no reason for Brad Keselowski to go run that race tomorrow. Sure, I think it might move him a spot up or down in the points, but in the grand scheme of things, does that really make that big of a difference? And what type of shape are you going to be in? You literally flew out to Phoenix Thursday or Friday, practiced, got up this morning, flew back to Charlotte to be with your wife to have the baby. Props on you for doing it. And now you're going to spend all day with a baby and having to deal with her giving birth and everything else. And I've been through that. That's rough. And it's exciting. And it's all those things. And you're going to fly across the country to race. He's starting 31st. I don't think it's a smart play. I'm going to fade off of Brad K. I think that 15 to 20% probably drops down to 10 to 15%, to be honest. And I'm going to keep a real close ear to Twitter and the rest of it to see if Brad actually makes it back. There's no reason for him to go back. Stay at home with your wife. You're not racing in the Final Four. I don't see it. And the Owners' Championship is what pays the big bucks anyways. So what does it matter to Brad if he finishes? Let's see. Where is the point standing currently? Let's see if I can find that real quick. Let's see if it really makes that big of a difference. Playoff standings. That just gives me the Final Four. I need the owners' points. Let's see. Standings? Owners standings. Here we go. All right, so Brad Keselowski currently is 7th. Now, that's the owners. So let's see where he is. No, that's the drivers. Drivers, he is in 7th. So if he doesn't race, I mean, he could fall down to 12th or 13th. Okay, I mean, but once again, it's the owners that pays. So they would still have a driver drive the 6 car. So they would still get owner points. And they probably still finish top 10. He's sitting currently in 7th. I mean, why not get a Riley Herbst or a I mean, heck, they had Cole Custer qualify the car. Cole Custer's got plenty of experience in the new Cup car. I just think there's plenty of options for Brad. Sorry, dumb question. What does the winner of the Owners' Cup receive? So, are you asking in the way of what trophy? Or are you asking in the way of money? All of the money is paid through the Owners' Championship. The only thing, the Drivers' Championship, I mean, there's a little bit of monetary. I mean, we're talking now, grand scheme of things. Like, I think the Owners' Championship, don't quote me on it. It's $8 to $10 million to win it all. And then the contract that the driver has with the owner is how the driver gets paid. So Kyle Larson, for example. So Kyle Larson goes out and wins this thing tomorrow, wins the Owners' Championship and the Drivers' Championship. The Drivers' Championship is much more of a prestige. You get to stand on stage, they get to interview you, you get the big trophy, but the money is probably like $10 million. Well, Kyle Larson's contract, and most of the contracts are tightly sealed and nobody knows what they are. But back in the day, it used to be somewhere between 25 and 50% of the prize money would go to the driver. So if it's a $10 million prize, Kyle Larson's looking at a $2.5 million check. Now, every driver has a different incentive program. So that kind of tells you where it's at. The money is coming from the Owners' Championship. And that's what Brad is more concerned about because he's part owner of RFK. He doesn't have to run the car. So the Owners' Championship, here, we'll just pull this up real quick. Pull it up again. Let's see. Standings, drivers, pull this over here. All right, so you've got currently Ryan Blaney. Well, all these guys are tied at 5,000. But if we look at the owners' side of things, look who shows up here, the number 9. The 9 car is 8th in owners. And if, let's say, the 9 car had won at Martinsville last week, he actually would have probably bumped out the 24, and the 9 team owner would be running for a championship and not the 24. Or the, let's see, the 21, the 5-1, and Penske won. So, yeah, so the 9 would have slid into the 24 spot. Now, Chase Elliott would not have been running for a driver's championship, but the 9 would be driving for an owner's championship, which pays the big money. So hopefully that helps explain that. And that's why I don't understand, and that's why I'm leery about running Brad tomorrow. It's not necessary for him to go do it, because if Cole Custer goes and runs that race for him tomorrow, they still get the owner's points for the 6 finishes. So I think it's a very good possibility to fade off of Brad, or at least keep a really close ear and be ready to take Brad out of your lineups. I don't mind the play because he's starting 31st. He was 10th in practice, 7th in 7th lap consecutive average. And actually, because somebody else qualified the car, he's going to jump in it. He's actually going to start 36th, but he's going to be credited with starting 31st. So unless Cole Custer starts that car tomorrow, and we can't buy Cole Custer on Draftkings tomorrow, if Brad starts it, he's going to have to start 36th also and be super jet lagged. Even more on the line for tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a ton on the line for tomorrow. I mean, it's where all the money gets made. Where all the stuff happens. And Brad's, I mean, he's decent here, but he's not phenomenal at this track anyways. So I mean, starting 31st, I mean, even if he goes and gets an average finish, it's 13 spots of place differential at $9,000. I mean, it's not bad. That's not great, though. So I'm a little leery of the Brad K play for tomorrow. Long story short, after all that. So, Kyle Busch, $8,800, starting 18th. I mean, he's been finishing in the top 10 here at Phoenix pretty consistently. 4 out of the last 5 races, a 10.8 average finish. Starting 18th, I mean, we got some place differential here. He was really fast in practice. First on single lap, 5th and 10 lap consecutive average. They're looking to probably try to go out on a high note because the playoffs and the end of the regular season were not good for Kyle Busch. So, I mean, 18th, there's a lot of place differential here, and Kyle Busch doesn't care. He doesn't care about that championship whatsoever. He doesn't care about the drivers in the championship. He wants wins. He wants trophies. He's going trophy hunting tomorrow, and if he's got a shot at it, he doesn't care about who's running up front. He'll go and steal a win. So I like the Kyle Busch play at 8,800. I like the Kyle Busch play better than the Brad K play. I also like this Chase Elliott play. 8,600 starting 20th. He was 21st in single lap, 9th in 10 lap consecutive average. He did not race here in the spring race because he had his knee injury. 12.3 average finish. I don't mind the Chase Elliott play. And, I mean, once again, we saw where the owner's points were. Every one of those spots is somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million in pay. So there's a lot on the line for Chase Elliott to do well because of the bonus structure. Next in line here, Ross Chastain, 8,400. He had a really good fall race last year. Now he was in the Final Four last year, so that kind of gave him a little more incentive. But $8,400 starting 8th. He was 5th in single lap, 6th in 10 lap consecutive average. Finished 15th in the spring race and 3rd in the fall race last year. I think Ross is just starting a little too far up. They've been too inconsistent for me this year. They've had a much better, 4 or 5 weeks, but I think he finishes where he starts or worse. I don't think it gets much better. I mean, he could go prove me wrong, but Ross is too much of it's too up and down for me to really have a whole lot of ownership. So I've got, 10 to 15%. Chris Buescher next in line here at 8,100, starting 9th. And Chris Buescher's had a heck of a year too. He's going to finish probably close to the top 10 in points by the time it's all said and done. 8,100, starting 9th. Now, his practice speeds were 19th and 8th in 10 lap consecutive average. Got a 17.8 average finish. Finished 15th here in the spring race. Now, this year he has been finishing better than where his average finishes are. But I don't think he's going to get up there and mess around and play with the top 5. And we would have to see that with Chris Buescher. So I'm going to fade off of Chris Buescher. I just don't think it's there. Next in line here, Ty Gibbs. Can Ty Gibbs get a win before the season's over? Nope. I'm off that bandwagon now that we're final race. I don't see it. Now, he was fast in practice. He qualified well. 9th in single lap, 14th in 10 lap consecutive average. He's starting 11th. Yeah, I at best he finishes where he starts. So I don't have a whole lot of interest in Ty Gibbs. So good luck, enjoy your off season, and we will need to watch out for Ty Gibbs next year. I think he will be a force to be reckoned with. Speak of the force. May the force be with you, Bubba Wallace. You will need it. Starting 5th. But yeah, another Star Wars themed car. I do love the Star Wars themed paint skis. So good job, 2311. Good luck, Bubba Wallace. 7,700. Starting 5th. I think Bubba Wallace is going to be lucky if he finishes 15th, if not 25th. He's not that good here. He's got a 22.6 average finish. Out of 11 total starts here at Phoenix, he's got a 20.2. No interest really in Bubba Wallace. In fact, that 5 or 10% probably goes closer to 0 to 5%. To be perfectly honest, he's starting way too far up. I don't like the play. Chase Briscoe, 7,500. I do like this play though. Starting 26th. Now, he wasn't fast in practice. He was 25th in single lap, 21st in 10 lap consecutive average. He did finish 7th here in the spring. He won the race in the spring of 21. He's got 2 top 5, 3 top 10s, 3 top 20s. He's only got 5 starts here. Starting 26th, there's a decent amount of place differential, and it's $7,500. Kind of fits that middle tier really well with a decent amount of place differential. And the last 3 or 4 weeks, Stewart Haas and Chase Briscoe have actually been running better. Now, do I think he's going to contend for a win? No. Can he go out and contend for maybe somewhere between 8th and 12th? Maybe 10th? Yeah. Which is, that's 16 points at $7,500. Heck yeah. I like that one. I like the Chase Briscoe play. I like the Eric Almirola play too. Eric finished 2nd last week. Now, this track's a little bit different. Eric doesn't perform typically as well at Arizona as he does at a Martinsville Richmond, New Hampshire, more of the flat style type tracks. But Eric's decent here. He's got a 16.4 average finish. I mean, 25 total starts. He's got a 14.2. And it looks like Eric Almirola is kind of retiring. Who knows when we may see him again? He could potentially have a one-off ride in the Cup Series, a couple rides in the Xfinity Series. But he's stepping away from the 10 car. So this is another driver that is going to be semi-retired. So good luck with your future endeavors, Eric Almirola. It's been fun and interesting to watch. I mean, he kind of took over for my driver. He took over for Mark Martin in that Army car way back when. But I think, I mean, Eric's going to look to go out strong. And starting 28th, there's a decent amount of place differential to kind of go with it. So I don't mind the Eric Almirola play at 7,300. Alex Bowman at 2,300. This is an interesting one. I don't know if I'd love the play. He's got a 17.6 average finish over the last 5 races. He did finish 9th here in the spring. But what'd you do in practice? Not much. 22nd and 27th. And he's going to start 23rd. I mean, they were trying to get the 9 into the Final Four. Hendrick has got 2 cars in the Final Four. I think Alex Bowman got put on the back burner, and we'll see in next year's kind of what the thought process was. So I think this is going to be much more of a test session for Alex Bowman, and it's just, kind of be out of the way. Or if you need a late race caution, send Alex Bowman out to get a late race caution. I'm kidding. They wouldn't do that. Would they? I didn't say that out loud. Daniel Suarez, 6,900. Starting 16th. I mean, once again, there's not much here for Daniel Suarez. 24th in single lap, 24th in 10 lap consecutive average, finished 22nd in springs, got a 19th place average finish. I don't think he finishes any better than where he starts. I mean, and I don't see this being a big attrition type race. I don't see the big one happening and 15 cars get taken out. I mean, most everybody's going to be running at the end of this thing. Eric Jones, 6,800. I mean, there's another one. Starting 7th, starting too far up. 17th in the single lap practice, 31st in 10 lap consecutive average. Got a 20.4 average finish here. This is not one of Eric Jones's better tracks. This is not Darlington. He finished 21st here in the spring. Starting 7th, he's starting too far up. There's just no place differential, and there's mostly just downside. Austin Dillon, 6,700. I mean, what's Austin Dillon done in the last 20 races? Nothing. Other than be a back marker at this point. I mean, heck, I keep thinking Ty Dillon's not going to have a ride. I'm kind of curious if Austin Dillon's going to have a ride. Good thing is Granddad owns the team. Starting 21st. I mean, yeah, maybe there's some place differential. It's got a 16.4 average finish. I don't think he goes out and vies for a top 10. And I need 10 spots of place differential for me to really think that that's something I really want to have much ownership in. So honestly, I've got 10 to 15%. I could see that going to 5 to 10%. I don't see it getting any better. Here's what I don't love, but I don't mind. Austin Cindric, 6,500. Starting 27th. Now, he finished pretty well last fall, but didn't finish very well this spring. He's got a 20th place average finish. I mean, at least he's got 6 spots of place differential better than Austin Dillon. And I think both Austins may finish side by side. But once again, once we get down here, we got to take somebody down here. So if I'm having to take somebody so far on this page, I'm going to take maybe some Austin Cindric before I take Austin Dillon or Eric Jones. So yeah, this 10 to 15% is probably going to go to 5 to 10. This may stay about the same. Let's see who else we got here. Ryan Preece, starting in 12th, 29th in single lap, 17th in 10 lap consecutive average. Did finish 12th in the spring, so he finishes where he starts. 6,300, maybe not. 19.3 average finish. I think he's starting. His problem is he's starting too far for me to take a chance on it. Where I would much rather take a chance on an Austin Cindric starting in 27th. I mean, you're talking 15 spots of place differential less risk by going with Austin Cindric. And and Austin Cindric honestly was faster in practice. So, don't love the Ryan Preece play. AJ Allmendinger. Interesting. The last 3 races that AJ's raced here, he's got a 17.3 average finish. He finished 20th here in the spring, but he's starting 32nd. Can you say oops in qualifying? I'll definitely take some ownership in AJ Allmendinger. So everybody on this page, I will take the AJ Allmendinger play before I take the rest of them. He's also, what it sounds like and looks like, is AJ will be back in Xfinity next year. So who knows how many more times he's going to be running in Cup. Once again, these guys are going to want to finish well, potentially being their last time in a Cup car. So this is the 3rd driver that we know of that, well, I guess we have not been confirmed that AJ's out of the 16. And it's really, really strange that who they're going to replace him with. I heard the rumor they're going to put Ty Dillon in this car. You're going to put Ty Dillon in place of AJ Allmendinger? What are they thinking? That's stupid. But AJ just may want to go run Xfinity, and he runs really good over Xfinity. So I can't say I blame him. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 6,100, starting 24th. You had such a good year going, Ricky. It's just kind of faded. So maybe we'll see him back at Daytona and with a win, and he'll be interesting again. Starting 24th, he was 23rd in single lap, 23rd in 10 lap consecutive average. He finished 19th here in the spring. Got a 25.4 average finish over the last 5 races. Yeah, I just don't know if there's enough. I don't know if Ricky Stenhouse goes out and finishes 13th. Possibly. I think 15 to 20% actually might be a little bit on the higher side. If I could squeeze in a couple more AJs, I may do that. Justin Haley, though. Now, Justin Haley's not going to be in this 35 car. He's going to be in the 51 next year. All sorts of weird stuff going on for next year. Next year's going to be wacky. $6,000 starting 35th. He was 20th in single lap. He's got a 24.2 average finish with a 27th place average finish. Well, heck, you're starting next to last. You have no place to go but up at this point. So yeah, I've got some ownership in Justin Haley. So both of the college cars, I don't think they're going to go out and light the world on fire tomorrow, but if they can get both of them in the top 20, that's a win at their pricing. Carson Hocevar, 5,900. Oh, Carson. Oh, after Martinsville last week in the Cup Series, where you decided to make a fool out of yourself, and then in the truck race, you decided to go out and wreck Corey Heim. You are not doing so well. So I think there's going to be a real chance that Carson Hocevar just goes and tries his best to stay out of everybody's way and not piss anybody off. So I do not like this starting spot for Carson at all. I think he just, I think we'll be shocked to see Carson Hocevar finish better than 30th. Now, this could surprise me, but I think he's looking to let me get out of Phoenix without anybody hurting me and let me just move on to next year. Just my personal opinion. Michael McDowell, $5,800. 16th in single lap, 13th in 10 lap consecutive average, starting 19th. 22.4 average finish, finished 13th in the spring. I don't know what to do about Michael McDowell, but I don't think he finishes top 10. But at 5,800, I don't need a huge place differential. I don't need the full 10 spot place differential. If Michael McDowell can finish 12th, that might be enough at 5,800. So I could see a little bit of ownership coming into Michael McDowell, even though I just don't love the play. Where I do like the Corey LaJoie play. 10 spots a place differential better. Michael's a better driver than Corey LaJoie at this point, and the car's actually better. And Corey was 30th in single lap, 30th in 10 lap consecutive average. He's got a 27.8 average finish, and he's starting 29th. I could see moving some ownership from Corey to Michael McDowell. I think I'm a little too high on Corey LaJoie. And I kind of fall into this trap because it's, oh, Corey LaJoie is this great dude, and Spire's got all this money, and they're going to do great things. Well, we're not there yet. He does have a cool podcast. I think I probably need to come off of this. But, I mean, at some point, we got to take somebody back here. And we're talking about 10 spots of place differential. I like the Justin Haley play. Don't mind the Corey LaJoie play. And I may or may not like the Michael McDowell play. I'm still not in love with that one. I don't mind the Harrison Burton play. He had a good finish last week, and he's got a 27.7 average finish. I mean, $5,500. And like I said, if you're taking 2 or 3 of the championship Final Four, you got to play in this pond down here. $5,500 starting 25th. He was 14th in single lap, 22nd in 10 lap consecutive average. He had a good run last week. This is another one that he needs to finish the year strong. I'm not sure he gets into the top 15 though. I know he doesn't get to the top 10 unless something really weird happens. I don't mind the Harrison Burton play. Don't love it by any means. Todd Gillen, what did he go out and do for qualifying? Good Lord. He's got a 26.7 average finish. In practice, he was 32nd fastest in single lap, 29th in 10 lap, and then goes out and qualifies 14th. Good job, Todd. Bad job for Draftkings. I know they don't go race for Draftkings points, so that's secondary. But yeah, no interest. Starting way too far up. Ryan Newman. I mean, after pretty much having a heat stroke last week in Martinsville, I think Ryan Newman's just looking to go, let me get out of this 51. He's done. He's tired. I think he's like, I just want out. I mean, they literally had to put him on a stretcher and put IVs in his arm after last week in Martinsville. So, starting 30th, even if he were starting 35th, I'm not sure I'd have much ownership in Ryan Newman. So, and that's another one. We may not see Ryan Newman again. So, happy retirement, hopefully, to Ryan Newman. Great race car driver. Loved watching him when he was relevant. But it's time for Ryan Newman to hang it up. So, another retirement. I mean, what is that? Possibly the 4th that we've seen out of the 36 field. And we've got one more to go still. Or actually, probably 2, at least one more driver that I don't think we'll see again. Not Ty Dillon. $5,100. Starting 33rd. Practice 33rd. 10 lap consecutive average 33rd. But on the upside, 23.7 average finish. I mean, okay. I mean, I think Ty Dillon might be one of the better plays here at the bottom of the barrel. And at 5,100, it kind of allows you to play some of the bigger guys. It's risky, though. I mean, he's got a 17.4 average finish out of 13 total starts. I mean, he's actually pretty... I mean, out of all the tracks, Ty Dillon actually is pretty good at Phoenix. I don't mind the Ty Dillon play. But that ownership may go up, just FYI. JJ Yaley at $5,000. Starting 34th, practiced in 34th. Hasn't run a cup car here in well over 5 years. And even when he did, he wasn't that good either. He's never finished in the top 20. So yeah, not real interested here. And I'm not sure we see JJ Yaley back. We might, though. That's kind of a question mark. So that might be number 5. But BJ McLeod, it's been fun having you in the Cup Series. Seeing the Xfinity Series. I think BJ McLeod's done. He sold the charter. So unless somebody happens to want to put BJ McLeod in a car, I don't think we're going to see BJ McLeod in the Cup Series anymore. So that's the 5th driver out of 36 that we won't see in the Cup Series next year. We probably won't see JJ Yaley either. So that 6 out of 36, that's a top 20, almost 20%, 18% or something like that. So we're losing quite a few drivers. There's a lot of drivers to say goodbye to that may want to finish the year strong. BJ McLeod's not one of them. In fact, I think if he can get as many of his cars that he's got in good shape to Spire at the end of this year, the better off BJ McLeod's going to be. So I think this could easily be a start and park situation for BJ McLeod. I don't think they want to risk potentially screwing up a car. So I think BJ McLeod starts 36 and he finishes 36. So no interest in BJ McLeod. All right. So, I mean, pretty easy. Take 2 of the top 4. Run whatever, how many lineups you need to run, and mix and match the final 4 guys. Put a little bit of Kevin Harvick in, put a little Denny Hamlin in, put a little bit of Chase Elliott in, put a little bit of Joe Logano in, and then see what else can fit. And then stay away from the guys that I told you about. Stay away from the J.J. Yaley, B.J. McLeod, Todd Gillen, Ryan Newman, Carson Hocevar. Definitely stay away from those guys. Ryan Preece is starting too far up. Eric Jones is starting too far up. What else we got? Martin Truex Jr. I think starting too far up, even though he could potentially be a spoiler. Bubba Wallace is starting too far up. Got to give an edge to Byron with the pit stall and pit crew. Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Ryan Blaney probably is the fastest and most consistent at Phoenix. Kyle Larson's crew is actually probably faster than William Byron's pit crew. William Byron's pit crew has a better chance of not making a mistake, and being in the first pit stall will help William Byron out. And that's why I think Christopher Bell is kind of like, what about me? Yeah, what about you? Sorry. So yeah, I mean, most of my ownership is going to be between Ryan Blaney, Kyle Larson, and Willie B. And then it's maybe have a little bit of Denny Hamlin, a little bit of Chase Elliott, a little bit of Joey, a little bit of Kevin Harvick. After that, who can you fit? It's really who can you fit? Be careful of the Brad Keselowski play. Favorite driver $7,500 and under. Not BJ. Not JJ. Probably not Ty Dillon. Ryan Newman, no. Todd Gillen, no. Harrison Burton, no. Corey LaJoy. I think it seems too simple. Justin Haley starting in 35th. Might be one of my favorite plays. AJ Allmendinger starting in 32nd. And then maybe Eric Almirola. So Almirola, AJ, or Justin Haley are my 3 picks. You're gonna have to decide which one of those 3. How's that? Does it help you out, James? I mean, if you're trying to make more room at the top, go with the Justin Haley. If you've got enough room to fit, go with Eric Almirola. Eric's going to want to finish the season strong. Yeah, hopefully that helps. And if you've got 3 lineups where you're trying to figure out the 7,500, run each one and each one. And that's kind of what I do. That's why I like to run 40 different lineups. So that way I go, I don't know about this one. Maybe I should do this one. I just run the same lineup, and I'll just switch it out in each one. See which one happens. That's the fun part about running bigger lineup tournaments. So optimal lineups from spring. I mean, we kind of looked at this earlier. We just didn't look at who of the pricing it was and how it changed. I mean, Michael McDowell was in the optimal lineup. He started in 7th and finished 13th. I mean, the reason he made the optimal lineup is because he was $5,400. And that happens a couple of times. I mean, Corey LaJoy at $5,300. So I mean, there's some cheap guys that make the optimal lineups because you gotta have some cheap guys to have the expensive guys. But the fall race last year, so the championship race, I mean, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano. Now, Ryan Blaney was not in the Final 4. Ross Chastain was. and moved from 25th to 3rd. Eric Jones was 30th to 14th. And Corey LaJoy from 27th to 18th. So, I mean, Corey LaJoy plays not off the table. And 36 really honestly is like the 13th or 14th in points. But I can tell you what it was. Did I close that? Where did it go? Cup. Phoenix. Corey LaJoy was 13th last fall in total points. So, and then in 2022, the spring race. I mean, Ryan Blaney started on the pole, finished 4th with 143 laps led, had 90. That's 96 points. Chase Briscoe, 93 points, got the win. Then fall of 21, where Kyle Larson won the championship. Martin Truex Jr. finished 2nd. Chase Elliott was 5th. I mean, there's 3 of your championship drivers. But to pull that in, you literally had to run Joey Gase and Garrett Smitley with a whopping 17 and 18 points for the optimal lineup. I mean, that's how screwy this could end up being. I mean, could you imagine having 3 of the top contenders and literally having Ryan Newman and Ty Dillon being the 2 bottom guys with 17 and 18 points respectively? But, I mean, it's 354.65 points. What was the fall race of 22? 399. I mean, that tells you how much of a discrepancy in points for the optimal lineup it was. That's nuts. All right. Either way, everybody, it has been an awesome year. I appreciate everybody tuning in, hitting that like button, filling my chat full of questions and answers. Hopefully I've answered your questions. Hopefully I've answered them correctly. I know I've probably missed a couple things here and there, but I just try to give you my honest opinion, and I try to base it as much as I can, in fact, and if I'm just going with my gut, I tell you. But if not, it's been a fun year. Hopefully we can finish strong. If anybody hits for the big bag, let me know. I'd love to hear about some success. And we can finish the year strong and start next year with a bang at Daytona. I may do I usually don't, because I hate the LA Coliseum race. Number one, it's an exhibition. I don't play it in Draftkings. So, I mean, I might still do a video breakdown, but it's so wacky how they do it. I don't know. Maybe we'll do it. I don't know. We'll see. If not, I definitely will be back for Daytona. Well, I may even do a Wednesday or Tuesday for the qualifier races, and then one for Sunday from Saturday for Sunday for the 500. But either way, I'll kind of keep things posted on here. Have a great Christmas. Have a great New Year. Have a great whatever holiday you happen to celebrate. Enjoy the rest of the NFL season. Enjoy the championship race. Take home the bag. Thanks, Mark. You're a good guy. Hope you do too. Yes, everybody have a great time. Enjoy the race tomorrow. It's been a fun year. Take home some money. Take home the bag, and we'll do it again next year. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Have a great one. Bye.
Get a good deep breath. Get ready to roll here. Only about one thing tonight, getting the W's, so gotta be around the end to do that. Get ready to roll tonight, boys. Let's go have some fun.
Don't get me any more fired up than I already am.
All the way to the checker. You're fine. Nobody's got to run. Checker time, baby!
Hell yeah!
Proud of you there, Matt. Good job, pal. Thanks, man. Good job all day.
Great work, my man. Great work. Keep putting yourself in position, we'll win our share, right? We got one back today, brother. Good job.
Great job, guys. Excellent work, my man. Excellent work. Thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Set out with a goal, we got it here, bud. Thank you very much.
Really proud of you, man. Drove your butt off tonight. We had the fastest car here, bud.
Probably killed our deal there. Just
just feel like I gave one away.
Yeah, boy. Way to rebound. Great job. Great job, bud. Really good job. Appreciate you hanging in there with us all weekend. What a weekend. Good job. Thank you.